Welcome
to Film Shapes,
the podcast.
Hey everybody!
Hi, folks.
25th anniversary.
It is the 25th podcast that we've done, Roly. Putting aside all the other ones that we did.
Those other ones that we erased from the internet.
No one will ever hear. So today we're going to talk about Cold War for the 25th one. I'll just put my cuppa down. So Cold War, I would call this a rom-dram musical.
Rom-dram?
Yeah.
A musical? A musical is when the actors sing, isn't it? Oh, the actors did sing, but...
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's either way. It follows the lives of Victor and Zula as their romance travels through Cold War Europe, with a lot of ups and downs, of course. Now, this is a semi-biographical, I should say, story from the director, Pavel Pawlikowski, based on his parents' lives during the Cold War. What do you think, guys?
I enjoyed the film.
Yeah?
I really enjoyed
Overall.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to
and
enjoy
that's all we've got to say. That's it.
Thank you, 25th.
Goodbye.
I really wanted to like this more.
But did you enjoy it, relatively speaking?
As I was sitting there watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's sort of lots of things that I like. It's monochrome to start with. A little 4:3 Academy aspect ratio. It was nice. Quite bleak. I like stories about...
Very bleak.
I like, Cold War stories.
So you enjoyed the chiaroscuro, you might say.
With the light and shade.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I enjoyed that too, the cinematography.
Yeah. And there's some nice... I mean, not just that. There's a couple of lovely little pans when she's singing in a cafe or some such. There's a pan starting on her face and swinging around to show the audience behind her, or in front of her. Sorry, the camera's behind her. It's quite good. It's of course well made, but Bryony.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a but. That seemed like I really enjoyed it.
Oh.
I thought it was great.
Oh, okay.
I went into it with zero expectations. Aside from the title, I didn't know anything about it. So I was actually expecting kind of a war film,
Oh, yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah, true.
Or some kind of refugee film or something. So
Okay.
it was actually really surprisingly nice that it was kind of about music and art and relationships and...
Against the backdrop of that big world events, which was done really well, and the history of the music changing, I thought was done really well. The way it's, went from the Polish folk music into more political, stylized music for Stalin, and then, through to the French jazz and American rock and roll, and tied that in together with the story really nicely.
Yeah, I feel like the passage of time was marked more through the change in music styles than it was almost by, the flashes of dates that would come up on the screen.
Yeah, the segmenting of it.
I quite liked.
Was that a bit jerky, do you think, Shady, here and there? Was it...
Yeah. I thought I guess it's hard for me to pinpoint why I didn't love this film. I liked it enough, but I think maybe that's part of it. It seemed a bit like a highlights show. It's very short. I thought this would be... It's like an epic that isn't quite epic enough for me. Like each bit was like a little snatch of their lives. I mean, but some people might like it that. I'm not saying it's badly done.
I think we want to be careful here because I think, we need to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil this film too much because I think people, a lot of people hearing this might not have heard the film, might not have seen the film
I
yet.
think most of them.
And because it's not a film that everyone is going to see.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a worthwhile film to see.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of things I've read about it, and you're confirming as well, people think that the film was a bit too short. And I wonder if that's...
Okay.
Without spoiling, I wonder if that's to do with the ending and the way that the film ended. More so than the actual length that...
No, I think that ending was fine. I I just think throughout...
Because I had some issues with the ending.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. We'll come to that. And if we don't want to talk about that...
I think we can do it without spoiling.
Yeah, okay.
But,
I just thought it seemed like there could have been more character development, perhaps, or more... okay. The music was a little irritating for me. Oi, oi, oi.
Oh, well, that's what it was all about. I mean,
that's what, right. So maybe I was in the wrong cinema.
You couldn't have this film...
Dude,
well, what were you expecting to like about the film then?
A bit more politics, I think. A bit more of the backdrop. Okay. That's probably what I needed.
Yeah, look, I would have liked a little bit more of that as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bryony, not so much?
I felt like my geography knowledge and a world history knowledge was very much put to the test.
You mean you didn't know about Lemko?
No, even when they made the comment, Warsaw, it's like a new Paris or something. I'm like, I don't know where Warsaw is.
right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's bad, but but after a while, I realised I didn't know anything, so I just let it go.
Okay, and you probably didn't need to, did you?
Didn't, yeah. Well,
obviously not.
I just had to know that Warsaw was not where he wanted to go, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Where is Warsaw?
That's Polish capital.
Oh, thank you.
And he wanted to get away from the Eastern Bloc, I guess.
Yes.
The other side of the curtain. I thought that bit in... Was it... No, this is my memory here. Was it Belgrade, where he went to see...
Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
Was it Belgrade? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't remember.
And that was kind of interesting because, he can travel there from Paris, but he can't really be... The Eastern Bloc didn't exist there. That was Tito running that country.
Yeah, you get the... Yeah,
so it
felt complicated, which it probably was in reality as well, without knowing enough. But
that kind of nerdy historical, geographical stuff I probably wanted a bit more of. And the politics as well. So we saw Stalin's face rise, and that sort of
that was
indicated...
Good
yeah, that was
That's
good.
where things sort of changed from... They realised they weren't just creating folk music for people. They were part of a political agenda
it had been
going on.
Appropriated to push that ideology, I guess.
So I sort of felt they, this couple gets together and falls apart multiple times through the movie, but maybe that's where it didn't feel deep enough in some ways. That I just felt it didn't. Against the backdrop of the world events, it seemed a bit trivial. Their little fights and things. It didn't seem enough.
I thought
it didn't look like they were having that many troubles. I mean, they had some. When he went to prison camp or whatever.
Yes,
that was a little spoiler. But.
That's all right. I thought they were pretty selfish. Actually, I don't mean to badmouth the director's parents if that's who we're talking about, but they did. They had their issues. But everything was so melodramatic. And didn't she had a child by another geezer and was quite happy to just, don't really care about that kid. I'm just going to go off and be with this guy. I don't know.
That's where some of it didn't quite make sense to me.
Well, I kind of realised that her character is not someone particularly sound of mind. I actually think she's suffering quite profoundly from some form of mental illness.
At the beginning it was
Well, I think she's she's very dramatic throughout. It's not a surprise at the end that she behaves that way, I feel, because her entire personality, the entire length of the film, is fairly volatile and unreasonable. She is unreasonable often.
Yeah, well, she's damaged. They make that clear through the story that she... potentially killed her father in that, and was in an abusive relationship. So, she's...
So, I feel like, I do feel like it is a little bit of a Reader's Digest version of their relationship. Like it is condensed. The abridged.
But any film is, isn't it? I mean,
but...
does it rely... Maybe this film relies, and I was thinking about it, and I was going to ask you, is this... that trope of the doomed couple, is it more of a European film thing?
Ooh.
What comes to mind is like Last Tango in Paris and, I haven't seen a lot of these films, but just that very idea is very well known in cinema, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're probably tapping a huge vein there, aren't you? Jules and Jim, I'm thinking of, but that's a triangle.
Yeah.
Lots of Truffaut and Godard stuff. Also, this reminded me a little bit, and I think it was something I read online about this, but have you seen the Three Colours trilogy?
Oh, years and years ago.
By another Polish director, Kieslowski.
Yeah.
The middle one, I think it is, White, which is my favourite, is kind of like this. It's a Polish guy who loves a woman, I think a French woman. They're separated by the Iron Curtain, I suppose, at that point, was still around. But it's sort of similar to that. Like he's in exile. He's in France, but he wants to go back or he wants to come and see her. It's all very, very murky, but it's actually funny, that one as well. It's a black comedy. So
in some ways, I feel maybe for different audiences, they can rely on that. Oh, we know what's going on here because we know this story already because we've seen it so many times before.
Yeah, though I wasn't expecting the ending. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest.
To be honest, I thought it felt a little bit lazy.
Oh, really? Bryony?
Well, again, I disagree with Roly. I just feel like it was kind of the inevitable end. I read a really nice quote. I can't remember where it was from. Am I allowed to say it?
Yes.
And it said something along the lines of, a couple utterly mismatched but condemned to one another.
Okay.
So the idea that, they couldn't really be with anyone else, but they ultimately weren't particularly well suited to one another's. And I don't know, I think their relationship and kind of their journey through the film, I don't know, it might just be me. I think it was a little bit of a kind of analogy of maybe what happened to Poland, in the sense that when the film first starts, it's about capturing Poland's identity as a Polish nation and its folk people and its traditions and things like that, and then it gets kind of bastardized through the sort of Soviet
it's hard to
overlay.
Respond to that without spoiling the film, but
no. Give it a go. It's the podcast. I'm not spoiling it in the blog, so you can go for it.
But I feel like, at some points she's seeking old Poland, and she's wanting, in some way, she's wanting that from him, and he sort of disappoints her a little bit in that because he's not Polish enough. But then she goes back to Poland, and it's not Polish enough because it's changed, and so it's almost like a nostalgia for what was. But it doesn't exist anymore. Right. It's like trying to move back to the house you were born in or something. You can just never go back. It's just always different. Kind of. I don't know.
So their sort of ideal romance is something that doesn't actually exist except in their imagination.
Sort of, a little bit, yeah.
Because every time,
or in the other side.
And Poland's kind of history kind of just got
a
little bit...
all relationships like that?
But it's not. But I'm using that as an analogy of what actually happened in Poland throughout both the war and post-war.
Yeah, I think, and that's definitely
powers coming in.
Yeah. Firstly, the Russians and the Germans, and then the Russians again, and
Yeah, so I feel like poor old Poland got a bit of a
there was a neat little
working over.
There was a bit at the beginning where that apparatchik dude, what was his name, Kazmarek or something, the guy who was the party voice,
fellow.
He was saying, "What language is that song?" And they said Lemko, and I thought, "What the fuck's Lemko?" And he said, "Oh, it's a shame. It's a pity. It's not in our language." And she got real angry. The woman, it's nothing to do with you. Got nothing. And I think I didn't know why, but apparently I read a little bit later. The Lemko people were ethnically cleansed by the Polish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of there's a little bit of hidden agenda there, I suppose, which is nice.
Yeah, because until you said that, I actually never understood that comment. I was a bit confused by it.
Why did she get so angry about that? And I had to double check.
What did he mean by "pity it's not ours"? I didn't really. I didn't know whether he meant the ownership of the song or the language.
I just saw him in that, and I didn't know the full story, but there was a lot of assumptions you could make, and he just seemed an elitist of some sort.
I assume he was just
pro-Polish. It just sets him up as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which he turns out not to be all bad, I think.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way she could get Victor out of that prison was by marrying and giving that guy a son.
And he kind of helped him get him out too, didn't he?
I suppose, yeah. He also did dob him in Yugoslavia, though.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. Yeah, that kind of those machinations I wanted a bit more of rather than the romance.
The very beginning of the film, there was. My first impression of the whole thing was the imbalance of the relationship with him being older and younger, but that seemed to kind of dissipate as it went. But at first, you're thinking like, you know.
It felt a bit creepy.
Felt kind of, it's a fine line between romantic and creepy.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose they wanted her to look a bit innocent at the beginning, though she wasn't.
I don't know, you assume she's got to be like 16 or she's supposed to be about that age maybe,
right.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, but she changed a lot more than he did, I suppose, throughout.
He
I
becomes
think that's
the child.
expected because he was an adult, well and truly, and that's, I think, what's interesting is, you know, he's formed this relationship with a person who's 16, and then she's actually grown up. She's not the same person. The same dynamics aren't at play. Like,
I mean, I don't know that she was supposed to be 16. Maybe she was supposed to be.
Well, she's
18,
she's clearly very young.
You
know. And the difference between he looks like he's mid-30s.
Yeah, probably.
Perhaps. So the difference between a mid-30-year-old and a mid-40-year-old isn't as big a difference as, say, an 18-year-old and a 28-year-old in terms of life experience and whatnot. So, and I feel like that's part of the change in she changed a lot and he doesn't much, although he's the one who wants to go. This is another thing I found a little bit odd about this. He was doing all right in Poland. I'm sure he wasn't under the pump that badly. He was okay. He was a leader of this Mazarek group, and he was probably well looked after, as much as you can be, but he just wanted to. His head was turned by the West.
I think that speaks to some of him being an artist and a different type of artist, and that he had to go his own way. And I thought,
right. He didn't want the Stalinism to get involved in his work.
And the thing of her and him being different types of artists, I think, was an interesting play as well.
Oh, see, I got the impression the only reason he wanted to defect was to be with her, because he felt like they couldn't be together in the dynamic that they had, him being a director, her being one of the kind of...
I didn't...
I definitely... He said, this is the only way we can be together.
I thought that was a bit of waffle, though, from him.
I think he wanted to go and play some jazz in Paris.
But then I feel like sort of once he'd sort of made that decision, like he had his bag packed, he couldn't exactly walk back in.
That's where he could have.
He'd sort of made his bed by then.
Yeah, I don't know.
In theory, but he could have. He could have easily walked. It wasn't like he'd been caught out or anything.
Well, I feel like maybe that's just the way I took it. I felt like perhaps that was a possibility, that if he'd turned back up with this packed suitcase, that, things... Because he was already being spied on. We know that. Yeah. They were already asking questions about his loyalty. Okay.
But she was spying on him. Or maybe there were others. Okay,
but so he was already being
kept
watched.
An eye on.
Yeah.
So I felt like his options of going back, once he'd made that decision, were probably... And she didn't turn up, so he doesn't know why.
That's true. She might have ratted him. Yeah.
So he doesn't know what he might be walking back into.
On that point, what happened to the other woman who was running the Mazarek?
I don't think you really find out, do you?
Nah, she just disappears.
Oh, well, she walks out. She walks there. I think the last you see of her is...
She's not happy with that
And it's a metaphor, I guess. She walks out of the concert. She walks out of the film.
I think she walks out of her life as well.
Yeah, she's had enough of... She's not into the... She probably defects somewhere as well.
Or is killed, probably, or imprisoned. Possibly. Yeah. Okay. Those little things that are not bad. They're sort of, we assume, and we have to
it's
go with that.
Being the Cold War and not
a hot one.
The war.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of room for characters to just be in really bad situations without being killed as well, isn't there?
True.
So it's Did you have a favourite or most intense scene in the film at all?
Scene?
A scene that just made you go, oh.
aside from the ending, which took me as a little bit surprised, I guess the river where she just jumped in and started floating away, that was quite nice.
Oh, yeah.
After she'd told him to fuck off or whatever, yeah. Yeah, that was quite interesting. Bryony?
I can't pick.
You're on the spot.
I like the bit when the American rock and roll popped in, because it was just for me, out of the blue.
Yeah.
Suddenly we know where we are in time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to sort of have that sort of overlaid all the rest of it, which was just so European.
Yes.
And to see the way people just kind of responded immediately to that different sound.
Yeah, that's true.
That was quite a nice little scene, I thought.
Yeah. Rolly?
I actually, there was that little scene where they first met back in Paris. I think it was. Yeah, that's where they first met again, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Where he's waiting for her in the bar, and then eventually she turns up really late, and they just walk down the street, and she's with someone, he's with someone supposedly, and she walks away, and but then she runs back.
Yeah.
And I got a little romantic heart flutter. I'm embarrassed to say.
To your hubby. Isn't he sweet?
And I went, oh no, quash that, I thought. Quash that.
Get that down.
Put that down.
Yeah.
But I liked that scene, though. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah. Now that you've reminded me about the Paris bit, where he's scoring a murder film or something. What's that? That's quite weird, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just working in the film.
Yeah, bring the violins boring. A bit later or something. Yeah, that was interesting.
Like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the bit of, you can tell the passage of time.
Yeah.
Sort of through what music he's working on.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked.
And he's got a job in a creative field rather than having to, be a shill for the Communist Party, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's a good... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I still wanted more from it, sadly. It's a very good film.
But you're encouraging people to see it?
I would, yeah, I'd say... Yeah, because it's an antidote, really, isn't it, to all the other Hollywood crap that's about. But... Yeah, of which we speak a lot of on this pod.
Yeah. No, it's nice to do something different.
Something different, yeah, that's true. So, big thumbs up from Bryony.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Roly?
Where am I at with this? Yeah, I'm at kind of 7 out of 10.
Oh, you're going for the numbers?
I'm going to do it. And I'm going to ask you how many stars. I know you hate this, but...
Stars?
Out of 5 stars, how many do you give it?
Oh, I'm not going to answer. I thought it was all right. So you take that...
How enjoyable was the cup of tea?
Your cup of tea that you made me?
Or if the
Egyptian...
well, if the film was a cup of tea, what would it be?
What would it be? I don't know.
A cup of tea minus the sugar.
Right, yeah.
Is it the perfect
one without sugar?
Warm, yeah.
Probably a grey one, I'd say. A grey blend.
Yeah, so I'm seeing that as 2 stars.
No, well...
Well, I quite like Earl Grey.
Oh, I didn't think of Earl. Yeah. It's just the colour.
Lady Grey.
Yeah.
They're good teas.
That's true. Middling. 3. Let's go 3. If I have to, if you back me against the wall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to do that.
That's all right. So that was the 25th pod.
25th.
What are we doing for 26?
I don't know, boss.
Some Earl Grey. Thank you, Bryony. Anyway, I don't know.
Can we do one of those American comedies that you never want to see?
If I go to the cinema to watch it, yes.
Like Crazy Rich Asians or something?
At this point, I might call out for some listener questions, not requests for films, but if anyone wants to ask us...
Yeah, sure. Why not requests for films?
Well, okay, let's see what we get. We can always say no, can't we?
Just write to us.
Just give us an email. Give us a call. But there'll be...
Shady's number is...
5. Okay, guys, thank you. Thanks, Bryony. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.